Hello.
Hello. In Daniel segment 20, we got to the end of the 70 weeks prophecy. And that prophecy ends with this verse. Remember, Daniel's prophecy was about the rebuilding of Jerusalem and its desolation again after the 70 weeks was over. And here's the last verse of chapter 9. He will make a firm covenant, that is, the prince to come, will make a firm covenant with the many for 1 week, but in the middle of the week he will put a stop to sacrifice and grain offering, and on the wing of abominations will come one who makes desolate, even until a complete destruction, one that is decreed, is poured out on the one who makes desolate. So now we have the indeterminate period of time. We've talked about how the one time we need to know is the coming of Messiah. That's the 70 weeks. But now we have no time indicator here, just that the desolation will go on until the desolator himself is brought to a finish. Now, the rest of the book of Daniel takes up that story. What will happen to Daniel's people until the desolator himself is desolated? So keep that word in mind, because we have a famous verse, if we're Jehovah's Witnesses, that we have to bring into the picture here that's not itself referred to, but we all know that phrase, the appointed times of the nations. Jerusalem will be trampled upon, desolated, until the appointed times of the nations is over. So I believe this is the clearest picture we have of that time of the Gentiles, but there's no time affixed to it, no specific time period. So I wanted to read in this segment verses 1 to 12, where we meet a new character. We've already met Gabriel, the first angel to be named in the Bible, in previous chapter 9. And in chapter 8, Gabriel was introduced in chapter 8. And it takes up the story here. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a message was revealed to Daniel, who was named Belteshazzar, and the message was true and one of great conflict. But he understood the message and had an understanding of the vision, which itself is a little different than some of the prior visions. In those days, I, Daniel, had been mourning for 3 entire weeks. I did not eat any tasty food, nor did meat or wine enter my mouth, nor did I use any ointment at all, until the entire 3 weeks were completed. And on the 24th day of the 1st month, while I was by the bank of the great river, that is the Tigris, I lifted my eyes and looked, and behold, there was a certain man dressed in linen, whose waist was girded with a belt of pure gold of Uphaz. His body also was like beryl. His face had the appearance of lightning. His eyes were like flaming torches. His arms and feet like the gleam of polished bronze, and the sound of his words like the sound of a tumult. Now we move to the New World Translation.
Okay. And I saw, I, Daniel, by myself, the appearance. But as for the men that happened to be with me, they did not see the appearance. However, there was a great trembling that fell upon them, so that they went running away in hiding themselves. And I was left remaining by myself, so that I saw this great appearance, and there was left remaining in me no power, and my own dignity became changed upon me to ruination, and I retained no power. And I began hearing the sound of his words, and while I was hearing the sound of his words, I myself also happened to be fast asleep upon my face, with my face to the earth. And look, there was a hand that touched me, and it gradually stirred me up to get upon my knees and the palms of my hands. And he proceeded to say to me, O Daniel, you very desirable man, have understanding in the words that I am speaking to you, and stand up where you were standing, for now I have been sent to you. And when he spoke with me this word, I did stand up, shivering. And he went on to say to me, Do not be afraid, O Daniel, for from the first day that you gave your heart to understanding, and humbling yourself before your God, your words have been heard, and I myself have come because of your words.
So it's very much like chapter 9, where Gabriel comes and immediately says that the reason that your words are heard is because you are a very desirable man. And so we see why he's desirable here. It has explicitly to do with his humbling
Humility.
himself.
Yeah.
So I believe it's good for us to remark upon several issues here that would indicate the kind of people that God is likely to give understanding to. And first of all, Daniel's character is obvious from the whole book, but especially it's marked here. And this person who is remarking upon his character, interestingly, is unnamed. But the description is obviously very similar to a description we read in the book of Revelation of the one who turns out to be.
In here it said, you gave your heart to understanding. So there's a genuine desire to understand and to rely on God to give that understanding.
Yeah.
Not to make something up or to, project his own feelings or ideas. And then his humility in that we've commented before about the fact that he puts himself with his people.
Yeah.
So he's a humble man and a man seeking God.
Who doesn't set himself above other, no matter how unrighteous the others are. And there's lots of unrighteousness in Israel before the exile. He doesn't set himself above his people, but puts himself in their place. Bears their sins, as it were.
Yeah, trembles at God.
And we're told as a consequence of this that this message that we're now reading about was one of great conflict. I think the Watchtower Bible makes it a little fuzzy.
It translates that, and there was a great military service, which didn't mean much to me.
As we work through chapters 10 through 12, we'll see what the great conflict is about.
You were going to mention the timing, the 3rd year of Cyrus it starts with, and you mentioned the year that would be. That
would be the year 537 to 536. So you can see Daniel is still prominent in the Persian Empire into the reign of Cyrus. And again, his political position in the Babylonian Empire, now he has prominence again in the Persian Empire. So again, noting the consistency of the stance of the Israelites in exile, that they do not think somehow they are contaminated by this, and neither does this person think that Daniel is somehow contaminated. He's a very desirable man.
For it.
In prior segments, we talked about the fact that sometimes Daniel doesn't understand what's going on. He doesn't understand the vision he's just received. But in this particular vision, continuous from 10 to 12, he does understand. And so we'll talk about the reasons, the historical reasons why he does understand this but didn't understand the others in the next segment.